Good afternoon, everyone. It's Stephen Paul from WinExtra bringing you your daily brief for February 23rd, 2011. And while, Paul adjusts his camera there so he's perfectly framed, it's episode 100.
It's episode 100. How did that happen?
I don't know.
How did we get to this point?
I don't know. But
we could do 100 episodes.
It's going a lot easier than your morning has.
Dude, don't get me started on my morning.
Brag a bit. Go ahead, brag.
All right. As some of you, as I'm sure all of you know, I run the site, formerly dailyshite.com, but we rebranded recently to earlybits.com. And today we had a couple of things pick off, and basically traffic like I've never seen on my sites before, and we've had some big days. And but today it was kind of that golden moment where more than one thing goes mental, traffic-wise, getting overloaded between Reddit and Facebook and everywhere like that. And my site got suspended this morning from our server group. We exceeded all our sort of levels, but we got back on within 10-15 minutes because I got on the phone with them and whatnot. But I just want to give a shout out to Donica O'Queeve, fellow Corkman, but he's also the guy behind the WordPress plugin Supercache for his help on Twitter in terms of getting my cache reconfigured and changed so that the site would be capable of coming back up and staying back up. And I also want to give a shout out to Frederick Towns. He's the CTO of Mashable, and he's also the guy behind, he's the CEO of W3 Edge, and he's behind W3 Total Cache for WordPress, and I just want to give a shout out for his help and his offerings of help as well today.
I do want to raise a point, and I realize this isn't a WordPress blog, but podcast or video show, but we both work daily with WordPress.
I'm sure most of the people who watch this do. And
especially now that 3.1 is out, what caused the problem, buddy?
Post revisions.
Hear that, folks? Post revisions. As nice as they are, they're a pain in the ass.
Yeah, now there are plugins out there that will allow you to disable your post revisions, and there's even a couple out there that will delete your post revisions for you. Make sure, though, that when they are deleting them, that they also delete the information from, post metadata and that sort of stuff. But just to put it into context, we have 4,500 posts on the site in question that went down, and we had, what was it? When I went in to check the database, there was over 22,000 tables in the posts section of the database. And the vast majority of those were revisions, so they all had to be deleted. And to put it into context, when stuff like plugins that give you related posts and that sort of stuff, they have to check against each and every one of these, and they end up checking against the post revisions and everything. Just to put it into context, the support people that I was on with from our hosts this morning said that in 5 hours of traffic, less than 5 hours of traffic, we had done in excess of 1 billion queries. 1 billion queries.
Yeah.
In excess. Right? And that's not a billion hits. Don't think I'm boasting about 1 billion hits. I'm not. What I'm talking about is the cumulative effect of database queries having to go through each and every one of those posts and the whole lot. It became absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, you were saying that they couldn't even keep track of the number of hits coming in for more than 10 minutes at a time?
Yeah, I was laughing at that. I was frustrated on the phone this morning. I was giggling to myself. Yeah. Because you get happy when you get this much traffic, but also you're pissed off at the same time because all this traffic and it's not coming in and you're not, making money off it or anything. Yeah. But, you get that little stroke of pride when the people who are maintaining your stuff turn around and say, well, you know what, we're unable to keep track of your hits for more than 10 minutes at a time.
Okay. Anyway, back on our normal track, considering this is a Microsoft and Windows.
Yeah, not a WordPress podcast.
Yeah. Microsoft seems to be having a problem lately keeping its executives within the company, but at least in this case, one that went to Salesforce can't take his job for at least a year.
So Microsoft have won that case. We know that this was a case with, he was a former general manager. I can't remember his name, but we talked about this a couple of weeks back. What was his name? Mazuski or something.
Mazuski, yeah.
Yeah. Now, they did win an injunction against him. Now, basically, he's going from one company to another.
There's a direct competitor.
It's a direct competitor, exactly. And he had signed an anti-competitive agreement, etc., etc. But, you know, usually they're pretty unenforceable. And the first shots were fired, I think it was probably last month we talked about it when we said Microsoft had won a temporary injunction.
Yeah.
But we didn't think it would hold up. But apparently, at least for a year, he can't do his job. Yep. So I wonder what that means. Does that mean he'll get a year off?
Well, apparently he can take a different job within the company.
Yeah, but he can't be doing the same thing.
Exactly. Yeah. And considering that Salesforce.com is, you know, the business CRM, and that's what Microsoft is doing.
Doesn't that mean that if he can still take a job at the same company, doesn't that mean that they can still get all the information that this is supposed to be, you know, protecting?
That's the judge's decision. That's what the judges decided at this point. Now, who knows what's going to happen from that point on? But anyway.
Yeah, because basically what a judge would say is, you know, he can't do anything that relates to this. But that's all we do at the company. We can put him in the tea room, make him tea, and he'll still be doing stuff that relates to this if he talks to anybody.
Yeah. Anyway, they won that one. Yesterday, we were making fun of the Microsoft Windows Phone 7 update for the updater of the update sort of thing. Apparently, Windows has pulled the update for the Samsung smartphones.
Well, we said this yesterday, didn't we?
Yeah, but
we said that the announcement was that would be pulled, and that they were telling people who had the indicator on their phone that it was available not to try it, not to try redoing it, and to wait for 3 days' time when they push a new one.
This isn't new news. The reason I put this in here is because I'm really kind of irritated in the whole nonsense that's come around this. Come on, people. This is affecting a small minority of Windows Phone users on 2 specific models of Samsung. Not the whole goddamn...
Is it 2 specific models, or is it just 2 versions of the firmware?
Well, the firmware.
Yeah.
Okay? That is not many. That is not Microsoft puking all over the place. How could it many?
There's not that many people out there with Windows Phone 7.
Okay? You know what I mean exactly.
Well, let's be honest. It is not a significant percentage. No. It's not even a significant percent of a percentage of Windows Phone 7 users. But you know what? It's like Antenna Gate. This is Update Gate.
This is just nonsense. This is just blowing everything out of proportion because it's Microsoft, and that's bullshit.
You are just annoyed because there's an Apple announcement coming in.
So don't even get me going down that road. Anyway, on to some more interesting stuff.
Something vexes thee, Hudson.
Yes. We are entering a very interesting period as far as Windows is concerned, to do with the whole GUI, graphical user interface.
This vexes thee? And this annoys you?
No. We've moved on. Okay, catch up here. We've moved on.
We've moved on from the Apple announcement on March 2nd.
No, I'm not talking about the Apple announcement. Okay, we're not. Period. All right. But originally,
you were annoyed by it. You would think you were sick of hearing about it, reading about it on Twitter and every other blog.
Are you done?
Teasing you? Never.
I originally found this video over on the Next Web, and you've had a chance to see it. Where,
I've had a chance to see it.
Craig Mundy's talking about computers moving beyond being a tool and becoming a helper.
Yes.
But basing this all around the re-imaging of the user interface to something that is more as a more of a helper.
It's about the evolution beyond just the GUI, the graphical user interface. Yes. to being a blend of both GUI and the natural user interface, which is, basically there should be no learning curve when it comes to using computers. One or two of the interesting things that struck me while you're watching this, and I know most of the video that you're going to see, it's the Microsoft Surface, it's Kinect, it's that sort of stuff. But one of the interesting things was that he said, first off, we need to remove the learning curve. But also I can't remember his exact words, but what he intimated was that that computers should have predictive behavior, which is that basically they should be helping us. We shouldn't have to just, they should be doing stuff for us beyond us telling them what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a rather interesting concept, just to think that, okay, that the computer is going to figure out that if you put your cell phone down next to the computer, for example, that it should download all your files, and maybe that it should sort them into certain categories, or maybe it should do red eye correction, or you know what I mean? It's this sort of predictive behavior.
This is something that I wrote back in 2007. All right. Why is it that we have this impression that for smarter machines we have to make them more complicated? Wouldn't a really smart machine be incredibly easy to use? Wouldn't it know that when I'm writing a new email that I don't need to have the whole program available? Wouldn't it know that when I open a program full screen to move the hidden apps to the other screens so that I don't have to lose an eye on information? No, we don't have smart adaptive OSs or interfaces. Instead, we get Web 2.0 evangelism of removing the desktop altogether, or we get the widgetization of data in a UI that is hard to read.
Here's the problem with a lot of this, okay? First off, in terms of complexity, to deliver the ease of use
is incredibly hard.
Exactly.
Yes.
To do the simplest things, shall we call them auto-magically, okay? To do the simplest things that way requires way more computational power, way more predictive behavior. The computer needs to be way more aware, requires more hardware, more software, more processing power than letting the user do it. So to make it easy, it's harder to build easy than it is to let the user do it.
Yeah.
And it harkens back to that statement, that age-old statement of, any civilization, any technology that is sufficiently advanced will appear as magic to less advanced cultures. And in order to have that level, that ease of, it just works, that ease of no learning curve because you just do it and the computer predicts and whatnot, that's still a magical realm in terms of processor power
tied in with this is the idea, given that we've been forewarned that Windows 8 is going to be the company's riskiest bet yet. Okay?
You keep saying that. You beat that drum, boy. Every other post, every other show, riskiest bet yet. All right.
Are you done?
No.
Okay. One of the themes that seems to be coming out for Windows 8 is the idea that we might see the Windows Phone 7 style live tiles make it onto the desktop.
And?
I'm hoping that it does. I really do. Because the desktops we have right now are dead, useless.
The desktops that we have right now are dead and useless. Yes, but, okay, it is a waste of space in one sense, but in another sense, it's not. Because the desktop is your working area. When you put something on that desktop, it covers everything behind it. You don't need that information. You don't want to see that information because it's covered. Do you remember? And the other sort of side of it is that, when you turn on your machine, you want the information that you want to get to. I would fear that at the desktop level, which is very, very different, by the way, to the mobile level. That's another argument. At the desktop level, if you were just to turn on your machine and it was instantly to give you, your RSS feeds and, your Xbox Live score and your Twitter and all that sort of junk on your screen, that would feel very, very overwhelming. That'd be the kind of thing that make me not want to turn on my machine, because I don't want to be hit with that information straight away, especially when I'm going on to be productive, especially if I'm going on, I'm sitting down on the couch over there and I get up and right, I've just had an idea and I'm like, okay, now I'm going to go over and I'm going to work on the logo for a new site. Okay? All that stuff's going to distract me. That's going to take me away from what I want to do.
Where's your willpower?
It's in the bottom of my coffee cup. And then you have the other option is that constantly displaying and updating all this information means bandwidth overhead and a processor power overhead, battery life overhead.
Yeah.
Do you remember when they introduced, was it live wallpapers?
Oh, the desk view.
This is not a new concept. This is not a new concept.
Yeah.
This has been around. This concept has been around since then.
ActiveX.
And everybody turned them off and called them the biggest waste of space ever.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway.
Because here's the last point on that, right? Okay. Very last point on that. Tiles are only as useful as the functionality you can give them.
Yeah.
We've been down this road before. Confabulator, widgets, whatever you want to call them.
No.
And you do not need 200 million bloody tiles to search Google, tell you what the weather is like outside, and that's basically it. Yeah.
We can have the technology, but it's up to the developers to create things that are actually useful.
Yeah, and if you go to any of those places where you can get widgets for any platform right now,
weather,
all do the same thing.
Search, basically
weather,
they're useless.
Search, image of the day, RSS feed, calculator, or maybe if you're really lucky, you get a CPU power monitor with an alarm clock.
Yeah. And let us know what you think about the whole idea of the changing desktop. What do you think's coming down the road? Do you have any impressions, thoughts, whatever?
Pick up the phone and let us know. 251-281-8730. Leave us a voicemail or send us a text message to same number, or just drop us an email at podcast@winextra.com.
Yep. And on that note,
we're not dealing with this last story, no?
No. We're running really long on time here. And besides, it's the only one that I wrote anyway, so it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. So I'll let Paul head back to deal with his massive traffic spike and all the joys that come with it. So that's Paul. I'm Steve. This has been WinExtra's.
Come on, get it right, Hodgson.
Hey, I'm
show
trying
100. I thought we'd get through show 100 without you fluffing it.
I'm excited for you, man. Okay? I'm feeling your excitement. This will be WinExtra's Daily Brief for February 23rd, 2011. Have a good day, everyone.
Have a good one, folks.